Hello, my friends. Join me today as we descend into a land of shadows, the pinnacle of horror that every good content marketer and SaaS founder shakes in fear at. Of course, I am talking about the land of dark content. Content that is so powerful it can help you acquire so many new customers, but it falls on deaf ears and lives a kind of terrible half-life where no one ever sees it. So join me today as I discuss this spooky topic and we dive deep into what is dark content and how you can use it to actually bolster your SaaS acquisition funnels. Let's get into it. Okay, so my name is Gregory Elfrink and I am the Director of Marketing at Empire Flippers, where we help people just like you buy and sell online businesses every single day of the week. We are one of the #1 largest curated marketplaces in the world. With that said, we see a lot of different ways that people go about actually marketing their businesses, especially when it comes to SaaS. So dark content in specific is actually something that not all business models can use, but if you're running a SaaS business or even a service company or really selling any kind of product or service that has some kind of layers of complexity in it, then using and taking advantage of dark content is actually extremely powerful for your marketing funnel. So what is dark content? What the hell am I talking about, right? So dark content is a coin or a term I've coined rather, because I've never really seen anyone else talk about it in a meaningful way. Dark content is basically content that is produced one time and it is never used again. Contrary to popular belief, most people when they say or they ask you who in your company produces the most content for your company, people generally say the marketing department, right? They're the ones who are controlling the blogs, doing videos like this, getting the word out there about what you sell. But that is actually not true. The marketing department in most companies are not actually the ones that create the most content. In fact, statistically speaking, it is your sales team. If you have a sales team, they are traditionally the ones who are going to be producing more content by a significant amount more, often by 10 to 15% more than what your marketing team will produce. Usually that breakdown looks something like 30% marketing, about 40% sales, and then the rest of the remainder of that content that is being produced is by your customer service team. Now, or your operations team in general. Now you might be thinking, whoa, wait a second. My sales team and my customer service team and my operations team, none of them are producing blogs. So what do you mean that they produce the most content? And what I mean by that is the coin dark content. That was one-time use only style content. So an example of dark content would be your salesperson is on a killer sales call. He is talking to a lead that is extremely qualified, asking all the right questions, and that salesperson leaves that person with some really big golden nuggets of wisdom. They tell them what they want to hear, they tell them exactly what they needed to learn about your product or service, and they end up becoming a customer. Now, that piece of wisdom that the salesperson said or the customer service agent answered in a ticket is never used again. It has zero leverage. This is what is called dark content because it's not publicly available to everyone just per using your website or per using the content that you create on other websites. So it is technically lost. In order for this content to be used, it has to be repeated over and over again by the salesperson or the customer success team, and it can become a real hassle when it comes to using this content in any meaningful way outside of these like one-to-one interactions. So what do we do as marketers and SaaS founders to actually use this style of content to drive more leads and more customers? Because this style of content is extremely bottom of the funnel kind of content. This is the kind of content that can overcome objections. You can clear away the paths, obstacles of actually using your software, and it can actually extend the lifetime value of your customers because this useful dark content answers questions that they had, which makes them more of a power user of your software or your service, which makes them love your software or service even more. So let's get into how do we actually do this. So in order to bring dark content to light, you have to use good old-fashioned content marketing. But before you can use any sort of content marketing to actually publish dark content, you need to first understand where it is in your organization. So some good tactics that you can use to draw out this dark content and actually start using it in a marketable kind of way is first, ask your sales team. Ask your customer service team. Have your marketing team actually meet regularly with both of those departments in any way they can. This might be once a month, it could be every 2 weeks. It really depends on the size of your organization. For us, we tend to meet with our sales team once a month and ask them just straight up, hey, are you guys getting asked the same question over and over again? What are those questions? Because that is a hallmark of a dark content piece. Though that is a hallmark of a topic that should be explored. An example of this at Empire Flippers is a long time ago, when I first joined up with the company about 4 years ago, we had an inside joke called winning the wire race. And it was just a joke we talked about amongst ourselves. When there was 2 buyers looking at buying a digital asset, they would both send in a wire, a bank wire, to buy that business. And the first wire to hit our bank accounts was actually the one that bought that business. We would call it winning the wire race. Now, this was extremely frustrating for the buyer that didn't win the wire race, right? And they didn't really know what was going on, and this was a frustration for a lot of our customers. So that was a dark content opportunity for us. I wrote a blog post called Winning the Wire Race that describes how you can actually leave credit on file with our bank account so you can buy a business instantaneously without having to wait for the delay of the bank wire. Therefore, winning the wire race if there are other buyers in front of you. This little piece of content that was only about 1,000 words long, maybe even less, led to literally hundreds of thousands of dollars as credit on file for us. Pretty good results for a little piece of content, right? Now, before this, what was happening is our sales team was telling people just leave credit on file over and over and over again. They had to keep repeating the same talk track because there was no resource they could just point people to. So that is one way you can find good dark content. Few other ways is look at what jokes exist in your organization. That might sound silly, but the example I just gave was a joke. It was produced because of this long-running insider joke that we had at the organization. And while it was funny, I saw the opportunity to turn that into content. Another way, like I mentioned, is meeting with your marketing, having your marketing, sales, and operations team meet together once a month, or at least routinely, maybe it's once a quarter, to discuss this kind of stuff. Any kind of questions they're getting over and over again, that can be really good topics. And maybe you have actually already written about those topics, but they're still getting these questions, and they actually had no idea that that topic was even written about. A lot of times this happens as your organization grows bigger, and there's a lot less unity with what all information is actually available to the team and in the company. So part of the marketing job is making sure other departments actually know that this content exists so they can actually promote this piece of dark content. Another thing you can do to find dark content topics is survey your best customers, people that absolutely love your product, and simply ask them, hey, what do you wish you had known before you actually bought this product or used this service? They already love the product, so it's probably going to be an easy conversation, but when they tell you what they wish they had known, that is often a key aha moment, right? Because these guys are your target market. These are your best customers, and they wish they had known this one thing before they had used your service. Now you can write about that one thing or whatever your content marketing channel is. Maybe it's a video, maybe it's a case study, whatever it could be. And now other people in that ideal target market know about this thing, this piece of dark content that your best customer was asking about, wishing they had known before they had signed up. So those are all valid strategies when it comes to finding dark content topics. So now that you have a bunch of dark content topics, because I'm assuming you went and did what I said, don't be like most people where you never do the exercise. That is the exercise of this video. Now that you have these various amounts of topics, now it's time to actually go and produce this content. Producing it is actually relatively easy because whatever your strong suit is right now in your marketing is probably where you should start producing the content. So if your team is mainly made up of bloggers who are writing content, then start writing articles and blogs about it. If it's video, start creating video content about it. If you're looking for a new lead magnet that has a new angle or twist, or maybe updating an old lead magnet to have this piece of dark content in there, then you can revitalize all your ads suddenly, calling out this unique thing and see if it increases your conversions. So I recommend always building the content, at least the first rendition of the dark content, in a way that your team already has strengths in, so whatever that might be. Ideally, this content should live in a place where the other members of the team, other departments, can easily link out to. So that's how you create the dark content. It's pretty simple. It's like any other piece of content that you create. The one key difference versus other pieces of content you create is dark content often will not actually have any kind of keyword value. If you're doing SEO, there's usually not going to be keywords associated with it, or the keywords that are associated with the topic you're talking about might not be the same thing you're actually talking about. An example again is winning the wire race. Anyone that is Googling how to win the wire race, maybe they come onto my article, but if they do, it's probably not talking about what I'm talking about. They're probably looking for something different, right? So you're probably never going to drive an insane amount of top of funnel traffic to your dark content, but instead what you're going to do is you're going to take that top of funnel traffic that enters your funnel and you're going to be able to convert them a lot better. Because as we all know, as marketers and SaaS founders are often familiar with this term, the more you can talk about the challenges your customers have, the obstacles that they're facing, and solve it within the actual marketing or the sales letter, the higher conversion rate you're going to get, because their target audience just has no reason to say no to you anymore. Now they see like you called out the challenge that they were facing or the question they were wondering about. That breeds trust in them. It answers their questions, and now they have one less objection as to why they might sign up for your service, for your product, or whatever it is you're selling, whether you're a SaaS founder or a service provider, whatever it is. So that is some of the real big benefits. Some of the other big benefits of dark content, other than it being bottom of funnel content, it can raise up your conversions, is sometimes you'll start converting people without a sales conversation at all. Every single week, we get sellers that decide to sell their business with us that have never talked to any salespeople at all. They've joined our email funnels, they followed our content, and within our actual email funnels, whenever we publish a piece of dark content, we always broadcast it to pretty much our entire list or a segmented list that we know for a fact would be very interested in it to get the word out initially. But we also look for areas in our marketing automation where we can put that piece of dark content into some kind of drip campaign funnel that makes sense for wherever the buyer or the seller is on their journey with us. So that way we both get the big shouts through the broadcast, and we also get the long tail of the effects of what we produce by putting it in our marketing automation. So you will be able to build and nurture that trust. Often you'll have customers that would sign up on autopilot without having to need a sales conversation. When they do need a sales conversation or need to talk to a customer service rep to buy your product, your customer service rep or sales rep doesn't need to repeat themselves. Now, before this piece of dark content was published, they might have been spending 20 minutes, 40 minutes, maybe even an hour every time they had to explain this concept to someone. Now they don't need to do that. Now they just need to link to an article, to a video, and say, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer, just check out this video. It explains everything you were wondering about and more. Let me know if you have more questions. Now, this is a very different kind of conversation. Instead of that salesperson doing 30, 40 minutes of explanation, they can be doing 30 or 40 minutes of asking closing questions and being more productive in the kind of sales talk tracks that they're able to do. Same with customer service. Instead of having to spend a ton of time answering this ticket when there's all these other tickets they need to answer, now they can simply put in a polite response to go check out this piece of content and it will answer your questions. It takes about all of 2 to 5 minutes, and then they're off to the next ticket, helping the next customer succeed with your product or service. So there's a lot of leverage when you use dark content. This concept of dark content is extremely simple to use, but in my 4 years at Empire Flippers, no matter the complexity of the business that I see, whether it's a SaaS service or even a large content site or e-commerce store, very few people actually produce this type of content. Very few people even talk about it, even in content marketing circles. They usually will tell you how to find like top of funnel topics, but very rarely talk about these bottom of funnel techniques. And this can seriously increase your visibility and your trust with your customers. And not just that, it doesn't just convert more customers for you because you're giving them good, juicy bottom of funnel content, but like I mentioned at the top of the video, it can actually increase the LTV of each one of your customers because of that trust. And because often, especially in SaaS, if you're writing this kind of content, usually that makes the customer even a better user of your software. They become power users. And someone becomes a power user, very good at using your software and taking advantage of it, they're pretty sold. They're pretty, committed to you, right? They're far less likely to churn. So give it a try and see how the dark content strategy works for your team. I would love to hear what you think of the concept in general. And if you like this kind of stuff, feel free to subscribe to our videos. And I am going to be producing more and more videos on educational content about buying and selling online businesses, as well as general internet marketing topics that might help you when it comes to actually growing your business. And by the way, if you're a SaaS founder looking for a way to make an exit out of your business where you can make a lucrative possible 6-figure or 7-figure, maybe even multiple 7-figure or even 8-figure exit, feel free to check out our valuation tool in the description down below. It's a free automated tool that uses real sales data that can give you an estimation of what your SaaS business could sell on our marketplace. This beats out many times of the old VC route where you're trying to convince and negotiate with venture capitalists. Instead, you can use our service and we will connect you with our list and database of literally tens of thousands of investors that are very, very hungry to buy a SaaS business. So if that's you, definitely check out that link below, and I'll put some other links down below as resources for you. So again, love to hear your guys' thoughts on content, or dark content specifically, and how you might use it in your team. Are you gonna use it? Are you not? Why or why not? Love to know. Leave a comment down below and I'll talk to you later. Bye.